talking employment now. And hey, okay, you've got your CV sorted thanks to the good people at cv.co.nz. You've worked on your LinkedIn. You've got that piece of spinach out from between your teeth. You're all dressed up. You're ready to go. You've done the interview and you smashed it. You nailed it. You not only answered all the questions correctly, you asked some absolutely brilliant questions. They were so impressed with you. Well, you think they were. You're quietly confident, but then comes the wait. Then comes that indeterminate period of time where you go, do they like me? Will they call me back? Is there going to be a second interview? I mean, gosh, I don't want to make light of Easter, but it was kind of like that period of time between Good Friday and Easter Sunday, isn't it? Where you go, is anything good going to come of this? Joining us on the program is the man behind cv.co.nz, Managing Director Tom O'Neill. Tom, kia ora. Good morning. Thanks for your time today.
Morning, my friend. Always great to be back, mate. Thank you.
It is a challenging one, isn't it? Even if you've done everything right, it's kind of it's waiting to get a second date. It's waiting to get that callback to know whether or not your thoughts about how well it went measure up to their thoughts about how well it went, and whether or not you're better than some of the other people they interviewed. It's a tough one, right?
Look, unfortunately, it is, some of the analogies around dating are very true. It's a bit like speed dating, you have multiple partners, and now you're just waiting to see if you were the best of the bunch.
Yeah.
So it's a time of real self-esteem issue and challenge and all those sort of things.
In that space, in that time between times, if we can call it that, what do you do with that? I suppose, firstly, to keep yourself mentally positive, because that is the time when it's the easiest to go, oh gosh, I blew it, and in some ways that can be quite a good strategy, because if you downplay how well the interview went, then if you do get a phone call, you can be pleasantly surprised. If you're cocky and arrogantly thinking, oh, I so smashed that, they're going to beg me to take the job, and then you don't get a call back, that can be a bit tough on the ego, right?
Oh, of course, yeah. And again, we've been judged sometimes by a 22-year-old recruiter. That this person's that first person that decides yes or no. I mean, someone who could be, grandchild for many of us, let alone a child, I know for me. And it is tough. We're sitting there waiting for the phone to ring, just sitting there staring at it. I've been in that position myself, and I've had great phone calls, and I've had real bad phone calls, and sometimes you get no phone calls at all, which is the worst. And but it's about trying to keep a positive mental attitude and be realistic. But the real key through the whole process is A, prayer, and B, just carrying on. Looking at other opportunities and really just getting out there, because when I was younger, I applied for a role and went really well. First interview, second interview. So I'd stopped looking for jobs. I was really excited and wasn't overconfident, but it was like, oh, this is where I want to go, etc. And, stopped looking for 2 weeks and then got the no and then had to restart.
Lost a bit of momentum by that stage. Really takes the wind out of your sails, especially if you are thinking, oh, I've so got this. A little bit of a step down. I think this is where we kind of part ways with the dating metaphor, Tom, because you don't want to play the field too much in regards to that. Oh, I'll see if I have a second date. But in the meantime, I'm going to date 8 other people. Not entirely recommended from a relational or a health point of view.
Dating metaphor does fall down, sure.
But in that regard, though, I suppose, instead of having all your eggs in one basket, because, I mean, what's the worst that can happen in that scenario? Back to the dating metaphor briefly, is you get 6 really nice people fighting over who wants to go out with you the most. If you get a multiple number of job on interviews coming in at once, then to an extent you can decide which one you like the best, and it puts you in a much stronger negotiating position. So, I mean, that's still a pretty good position to be in, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's the ideal situation, where you've got, 2, 3 employers keen to employ you. But that's only going to happen if you just keep that momentum going. And what we tend to do after interviews, particularly if we think, well, that went well or whatever it is that can sometimes take the opportunity just to take the foot off the gas a bit.
Yep.
And then next thing you know, things, may or may not go quite how we want it. But if you've got lots of more opportunities out there, and I talk a lot, your CV being your brochure,
Yep.
the more CVs you have in the marketplace, the higher the chance you can get an opportunity, new role. So it's the same sort of thing. The more interviews you go to, the better the outcome for you.
Yeah, no, totally. Now, is it good practice if you've had an interview and if you think it went well, that you would send a, hey, thanks for the interview sort of reminder prompt email? Or is that sort of like, oh gosh, that's just more spam in your potential employer's inbox? Does that go down well generally, Tom?
Yeah, people are a bit split on this, to be honest.
Yep.
I like it personally and stuff. I see your interview as a sales meeting, right? So if I come and try and sell you a service, photocopier or something, I'd follow up the next day or two with, hi Andrew, really lovely to meet you, and talk about the blah blah 400,
Yep.
same sort of thing. So I personally would send an email just saying, kia ora, Andrew, really lovely meeting with you and, Raj last week or yesterday.
Yep.
Really excited about this opportunity. I feel that my skills in this area can be of value, and detail that a little.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, I look forward to hopefully hearing from you in due course. Very brief, 3 lines, 4 lines max, just something they can read in 5 seconds, but it keeps you top of mind.
Yeah.
It just really puts you back in a professional setting, because professionals do these sort of things.
I mean, it is a little bit of a risk. You're either top of mind because, oh yeah, they seem keen, or you're top of mind, oh yeah, they seem pushy and annoying. Could go either way in that regard. Yeah. We were talking a couple of weeks back about the importance of the sorts of questions we ask at an interview. I mean, that would be a good one to close on. If I am the successful candidate, when would I expect to hear back from you? That would at least give you an idea of how long that piece of string is before you could expect a phone call or an email.
Yeah, well, normally you'd have the first interview and you'd just close that off by saying what I said before, and then also something like, what's the process from here?
Yep.
Now, then what they'll do is go, well, look, we've got another couple of candidates to interview tomorrow, so we should be in contact with people on Wednesday. Now, on Wednesday, obviously you're sitting there waiting for the phone to ring.
Mm-hmm.
Now, sometimes it won't, but don't panic. I had a mate of mine who had an interview, went really well. The interview said they were going to phone him on Wednesday. Didn't phone him on Wednesday, so he left a really abrupt and really rude voicemail. 7 years later, he's still waiting for that recruiter to return his call.
Okay.
Because she'd had a car accident.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the crazy thing. So, people have sick children, sick animals, get sick themselves. There's a whole bunch of reasons why the recruiter didn't phone you on Wednesday. Don't panic. But what you do the following day, the Thursday, the day after they said they'd get in contact with you, is just send a really nice, professional and respectful email, just following up. So, kia ora.
Hope you haven't been in a car accident, Andrew, or have a sick dog.
Yeah. Well, you're hoping that something, has stopped them from giving you some good news. They just follow up with, kia ora, and love it, just following up in regards to the position. I came and met you last week for the role of blah, blah, blah. Just wanted to see how it was progressing, please. Kind regards, Tom O'Neill. Yeah. Nothing too much, but if they said they're going to be in contact with you by Wednesday and they haven't, that gives you every right to just reach back.
Yeah. Is there any advantage in just leaving it hanging? Is there any, I suppose, any advantage of saying, well, obviously, no news isn't good news in this regard. If they haven't bothered getting back in touch with me, it's obviously I didn't make a good impression. It's a clear no from them. Is there any, I suppose, value in getting that closure and having almost that confrontation of finding out that it's definitely a no to help you move on instead of having that always in the back of your mind?
Oh, look, yeah. I mean, I know for me, if I was in that situation, I'd like to know it's a no rather than just never find out, and get a phone call 7 years later. Oh, you came in that job back in 2014 for It's so basically a good, that's personally why I would send that email out.
Yeah,
Again,
yeah,
very professional, very friendly. You'll find dealing with recruiters, because they're just turning over so many people,
yeah,
they just won't respond,
yeah,
most of
yeah,
them. Some will, and that's great, good on them. But the problem is, imagine you've got 100 candidates and you send out, 95 no emails.
mm,
You're sending, and let's say you do that 5 times a week, you're sending out 450, 480 no emails. 20% of those people will email you and phone you and want to know why. So
yeah,
suddenly now you've got 80 people demanding your time for roles that they're not going to progress on. And
yeah.
so most recruiters won't do that just for that sole reason.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
it's good to see behind the scenes as to some of the
Mm.
motivations there, and actually that does make sense, although for somebody looking for work that can be a little bit
Oh,
frustrating.
really
I mean,
frustrating.
sometimes an employer, or they'll say that in an email, they'll say, hey, we'll keep your details on file should you think I'm available. Is that just waffle? Or is that just like, well, we'll tell them this to get them to shut up, but we're never phoning them. There's a reason it's a no. Should we hold any hope in that?
Uh, it's about really being proactive. I mean, the problem is, right? So I have 100 people apply for a role. Let's say I'm a boss at a company.
Yep.
I interview 5. I send out this. We'll put you on the database, the email. Now the problem is, in 2 years' time, another job comes up, right?
Mm.
Well, all those 95 people, you dope, would have gone off and got new jobs.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a
If
bit
they're,
weird if
if
I
they're
phone them
still
up,
waiting and unemployed,
a
then
year later,
yeah,
2 years later. So, even 6 months later, it's a lot easier just put an ad back in
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
then have people respond. So, very
Probably
rarely in my career
just
that
flannel.
I've ever heard that word.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just trying to be nice, I think. In some respects, there are ATS software, and applicant tracking software,
Hmm.
which can make the process a lot more efficient. So in those settings, there is an opportunity or chance that, it might be a bit easier for the recruiter just to go back through and be able to do a quick scan and find some talented people that they can reach out to.
Hmm.
So that certainly could happen. But on the whole, it's a lot easier just put an ad back in and restart the process.
Yeah, no, very good advice indeed. And hey, perhaps that's a subject for another time, is how to respond to those no's and still keep ourselves motivated and in the
So,
game as well. Hey, very much appreciate your wisdom and advice, Tom. Thank you for the blessing that you are to so many people who are looking for work, and of course cv.co.nz for more information about that. Kia ora, thanks so much for joining us.
God bless everyone. Happy Easter.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.